Good morning. Here we are. First month of the year. I mean, isn't it just delightful? Here we are in January. First month of the greatest year of your life. Yeah, okay? This is a great year because here's why. Because we're going to make a commitment right here, right now, today. We're going to make a commitment that this is the best year ever. And then we're going to set a mighty intention that it's our best year ever. And then we are going to begin to outpicture our best year ever, right? This is what we know. Everything starts in consciousness. So welcome to 2017, first month of the best year ever. Best year ever. And this month we talked about Spirit is calling. Spirit is calling. We talked about your higher calling, remember, the first of the month, and we had the White Stone ceremony. We gave ourselves a new name, a new reason for being. And then the second week we talked about Can You Hear Me Now? All about listening to that still small voice and becoming receptive to it. Last week, Reverend Kathy Hearn talked about inspiration, right? Inspiration, in spirit, to be of the Spirit. And so today we're talking about don't hang up. Don't hang up. Okay, wait. That's how old I am. Anyway. Yeah, we remember that song. Come on, we know it. When Spirit calls, don't hang up. Don't hang up. When Spirit has something to say, pay attention. I remember Kathy Hearn, she was just here last week, right, speaking. Years and years ago, she said this to me. She said, when Spirit wakes you up at 4 a.m., get up. Get up. And I went, oh, I can't just like roll over and, go back to sleep, pull the covers over my head. No. She said, when Spirit wakes you up at 4 a.m., get up. There's usually something really, really important you need to know. And so get up, go downstairs, go get your journal, do something. Do something. When Spirit wakes you up, get up. I've gotten some of my best writing done at 4 a.m. There have been times I've written my Sunday talk and I've gone to bed and everything's wonderful, and I get up at 4 a.m. because Spirit's going, you don't want to talk about that. This is what you need to talk about. And the whole entire talk gets rewritten at 4 a.m. It happens. Some of my best ideas came at 4 a.m. or 3 or 3:30 or 5, whatever. When Spirit calls you, even if it's the most bizarre hour like that, pay attention. I don't know why that is. I don't know what that is, and I don't know why it is. But when we are called in that quiet hour of the morning, we really need to say yes. And I don't really know why. It may be because of the feeling that the whole world is asleep and it's so quiet that maybe we can hear that still small voice better, clearer. I don't know. But Spirit is loud and clear at 4 a.m. So when you get awakened at 4 a.m., please get up and make the commitment to listen. Whatever that means, whether it means going to prayer, going to meditation, taking your journal out and just writing down what's on your mind at that point in time, whatever it means, just listen, And then, of course, after the listening, there may be something for you to do. There may be something for you to do. This is the way everything happens, right? We talk about consciousness, and we know that the physical world and the action we take and the thing we manifest in the world is the last link in the chain of manifestation. That everything occurs in mind first. Everything occurs in mind first. So we have to listen first, we have to get that direction, and then take action if action is being called. If action is being called. How many times have we had that intuitive nudge and not done anything about it and regretted it? Have you ever had that experience? Am I the only one? That advice you didn't take, when Spirit was talking to you and you were like, yeah, no, later, that stock you didn't buy or that job you never applied for or whatever it is, you had the nudge. It was a nudge. And you didn't do anything about it, and then you go, oh, I can't believe I didn't do anything about it. And it just moves on, How many times do we hear on television, right? It's always a victim of a crime or something saying, I knew there was something not right about this, but whatever, fill in the blank, right? Move forward anyway, and then that's when everything goes to hell. That intuitive voice is telling us something, and we have to pay attention to it. We have to spend that time in the quiet to get to listen To get to hear the still small voice and know it for what it is. You know, it's like you can't recognize a voice you've never stopped long enough to listen for. So we have to make the time to be in the silence so that when Spirit speaks, we can recognize it as Spirit. And then we can take direction. But we have to give ourselves that time in nothing, you know, just the open space to just be available to the voice of Spirit. And then when we need to do something, we're doing it with the correct consciousness. Reverend Chris Terry of Heart Space Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas said this. She said, consciousness is how we approach our doingness. It's not a substitute for it. Okay, you want me to say that again? Consciousness is how we approach our doingness, not a substitute for it. You know, we can just sit in prayer all the days of our lives. I guess we could. But sometimes we are called to do something. When we have been in the consciousness of prayer and meditation first, our doingness is at that higher consciousness. The first thing is listening. The first thing is always receiving the still small voice. And then action, if action is needed, then action is done. And this is one of the gifts of meditation, really, is to be open, that sense of expanded awareness. That is the gift of meditation, to be in that sense of expanded awareness. So when Spirit does speak to us, in whatever way it speaks to us, colors or scents or words or intuition or just a sense of movement, whatever it does, then we're open and available to it. Ernest Holmes said this about prayer. He said, prayer is the silent contemplation of the divine presence, ever stimulating the thought, and the universal law of mind ever acting. So then the act of becoming still and knowing that God, the creative wisdom and power, is moving in, upon, and through our affairs. That's always preceded by that stillness. This is the balance between prayer and meditation, right? Prayer and meditation. If we think about it, meditation is the receiving and prayer is the directing, right? Isn't that the way we do it? When we are in meditation, we are receiving the still small voice. We are receiving direction. We're receiving that intuition. We are being impressed upon by the word. And then we do something about it. So in that situation, we are the law, right? We are the law, accepting the word and then doing something about it. When we pray, we are directing the law. So when we pray, it is our turn to be the word. And we are impressing it upon the law to do something. So this idea that Ernest Holmes came up with, the love and the law, this is how it works. This is how it works in the divine creative process with Spirit. This is how it works in our life. We alternately act as both the love and the law. When we pray, we're directing, we are the word. When we meditate, we are accepting, we are the law. And this is how we are the microcosm of the divine creative process. Now, that being said, there's two ways that we get into our own way right smack in the middle of this process. First of all, we don't take things into meditation and prayer because I have no idea why. Honestly, why don't you take everything into meditation and prayer? I don't know. But that's one of the ways we get into our own way, is that we don't go into meditation and prayer. Maybe, I don't know, it's not big enough to bother Spirit with, right? It's just not big enough to bother Spirit with. Or better yet, we have it handled. We don't need Spirit. That's the funny one. You know that lady that's driving up and down the rows, trying to get a parking spot in front of the mall, and she goes up and down, and she says, Spirit, please, I need a spot. Let's get me a spot real close to the store. I really, really want a spot next to the store. And then she goes up one aisle, and then sure enough, the first spot pulls out, and she goes, never mind, God, I got it. Right? We think we're on our, hey, don't worry about it, I got it handled. Each one of those cases, whether we don't think our situation is big enough to warrant God's, voice or answer, or whether we think we've got it all handled and we don't need spirit. Both of those things are false beliefs. They're both false beliefs. And sometimes I think, honestly, what lies beneath both of those reasons why we don't pray and meditate is not worthy. I think that age-old, not good enough thing, the not worthy thing, is probably at the heart. That may be the ultimate false belief that underlies all of this. But we're always worthy, because there's only one of us in here anyway, and it's spirit. Ernest Holmes said in Lessons in Spiritual Mind Healing, he said, there is a self-forming intelligence at the center of everything, at the root of all form. We have spirit plus nothing. I love that. He was so cool. We have spirit plus nothing from which all things were made. Spirit plus nothing leaves nothing but spirit. Spirit through thought creates form, but it is never caught up in the form which it creates, because pure intelligence is in everything. Everything must then respond to pure intelligence. This, he goes on to say, is the secret to affirmative prayer. Don't you love that? There's nothing but spirit here. We may look like different people. We may look like we're separate and apart from each other and from all life everywhere, but there's only one life. There's only one energy. So when we say we don't want to bother with spirit, it's like we could actually do that. We can't, because we are spirit. The truth of us is that we are pure spirit. And we have to get to a place where we know this on a really, really deep level. Even when we say God is all there is and I am one with God, it almost seems to indicate a separation, doesn't it? Like I am one with this other thing. It's like, we walk through life holding hands, but we're two separate things. We're not. Spirit is the truth of us. There's nothing else true about us, right? Ernest Holmes said, we have spirit plus nothing, which leaves nothing but spirit. So the truth of us is every cell, every molecule, every subatomic particle of our bodies, every thought we have, everything that we do, think, and say, it's simply spirit in this temporary form called a body. That is the truth of us. So we have to get to that place where we're never outside of spirit, so there's no idea of, I don't want to bother spirit with this. It's already in there. You've come completely equipped. It's all spirit anyway. Spirit is so much more than humanity. Spirit is so much more than us. But everything that we are is spirit. Does that make sense? We're not all there is to God, but everything that we are is total spirit. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, in your invisible power, he said that we are one. And he called it God and company, which I thought was really kind of cute. But we are still one. And he said, this partnership cannot be dissolved, for this union was never created. It always has been, and it always must remain. Wherever we place our attention, there the company is doing business. Don't you love that? Wherever we place our attention, there the company is doing business. And wherever the company does business, there is divine activity. God and company has no competitors. God and company never deals with competition, but always completeness. Wherever our thought is, there this company establishes its branch. We are that. We are the outpicturing of spirit and form doing the work on earth. But it's all spirit. It's all spirit. We're just the vehicle through which spirit is doing all this stuff on earth. So the first step we always should go is within. Regardless of anything, whatever is happening in our lives, the first step is always to go within. Go within, go to meditation, get direction, right? And then we are the law, we're getting direction. Then the second is to go to prayer, to speak our word. Then we are the role of love, giving direction to the law, to act on our behalf, to change the conditions around our life, to do whatever it is that we are at the moment desiring. When we hang up, here's God's good voice, and we hang up, it's like, nah, it's all right. I'm just going to go on my merry way, oblivious. And how has that helped? How far is that getting you? It's like when we hang up, we're saying it's not needed. The voice of God is not needed. The voice of spirit is not necessary. We'll go it alone. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. a very wise practitioner emeritus that we have among us, Billy Francis, who did our morning prayer. She said this in practitioner class one year when I was a student. She said, everything that takes us out of the holy instant is worthy of prayer. We had that engraved and we gave it to her at the end of the class. That was so profound. Everything that takes us out of the holy instant is worthy of prayer. That's powerful. So think about that. How many times during the day are you out of the holy instant? How many times during the day is something vexing you? How many times during the day are you troubled by a thought or an idea or a worry or a regret? Each and every time you are taken out of the holy instant, it is worthy of prayer. Which brings me to Brother Lawrence, who said, right, pray ceaselessly. Your whole life should be a prayer. Somehow, we have gotten this thought, this false belief that, no, it's not big enough to pray over. I don't need to pray over that. Now, okay, here's the deal. I'm not saying you have to sit there with the menu and go to prayer before you decide chicken or fish, okay? I mean, it's like, maybe not, but maybe. I mean, who knows, right? But clearly, there are things in your life that are worthy of prayer, but you're not moving. You're not taking them to prayer. There are many, many instances in our lives where we can surrender to the Creator. Surrender the problem, surrender the choice, surrender the concern, surrender the worry. But we don't, because we think what? It's not worthy? It's not worthy of prayer. If we think it's not worthy of prayer, what we're saying is we're not worthy of prayer. So we have to get in and examine that false belief. And we need to get to the place where we understand we're an outpicturing of spirit. Is there something on your heart? Take it to prayer. Nothing is too small. Nothing is too big. Emerson said, there is no great and no small to the soul that maketh all, and where it cometh all things are, and it cometh everywhere. There is no place absent of spirit energy. There is no place absent. So prayer is the first place we must go. Nothing is too small. Nothing is too great for divine mind. And it is in understanding this oneness that we call upon this power and presence, because it is a part of ourselves. It's not outside. It's not outside of ourselves. We're not calling for God. Hello, out there. The God is within us. It is within our own nature. Going to meditation is accessing that greater and grander part of ourselves. Going to prayer is consulting our higher and best self, that part of us that is in communion with all that there is, with all life everywhere. And we have to get to the point where we really rely on it all the time. That it's not just in case of emergencies. We treat it like triage, when our life is falling apart. Oh, let's see, maybe I should pray now. Corrie ten Boom? Corrie ten Boom said, she said, is prayer your steering wheel or your spare tire? Is it your steering wheel or your spare tire? Is it something you regularly go to, or is it something you just take out in case of emergencies? Oh, everything's going to hell. I think I better pray now. We have to know that it's there, it's us, it is our higher self that we're accessing. We're accessing divine mind through our individual mind. The idea of not wanting to bother spirit with this indicates separation, right? That there's something else outside of you don't want to bother. It's like, oh, don't go to, don't bother that. This is not big enough. We're not inviting divine mind into anything. It's already there. It's already there. It's our consciousness that creates the separation, our own human consciousness. So are we willing to consciously invite this universal intelligence along on our day? No, that was a real question. Yeah. Are we willing to consciously invite universal intelligence, that greater mind that we have access to? It's like having access to the greatest computer in the world and then not using it, then taking out the abacus, and doing this. It's like, come on, we have access to the universal mind. Are we willing to surrender our big idea and go to universal intelligence to maybe get the greater idea of our life? Are we willing to listen to the good that is always speaking to us? It is always speaking to us. And if we just got quiet long enough, on a regular basis, if we just gave over that time, gave over that space, on a regular basis, when Spirit speaks to us, we'd be able to go, aha, that's Spirit, I know, because I've been making the space long enough, I can recognize the voice. Gandhi said, prayer is not an old woman's idle amusement. Properly understood and applied, it is the most potent instrument of action. That's powerful stuff. Prayer is not something you just give lip service to. When properly understood and applied, it is the most potent instrument of action. We know this is true. We've tested these principles. We've tried. How many of us have ever gone to prayer in this room? Right? Okay? And has anything happened as a result of affirmative prayer? Yes, things happen as a result of affirmative prayer. Ernest Holmes says, take the stuff, use it, read the books, and then practice the principles. He also said, throw the books out the window, which you can or cannot have to do. Your neighbors might not like it. I don't know. But use the principles, use it, test it, try it, prove to yourself they work. That's what Ernest Holmes said. So don't hang up when Spirit calls. Don't hang up. When you hear that still small voice in quiet meditation, when you get an intuitive hit, when you get direction, don't hang up. Take it. Take the good advice that you are being given. And there might be something for you to do. There might be an action that needs to be taken, or maybe not. But don't think that you're ever going it alone. Don't think you're ever going it alone, because you're never alone. We're never alone. There is no end to Spirit. There is no circumference to Spirit. There is no place in the entire universe where Spirit is absent. So it is right within you, it is in your breath, it is in your molecules, it is in the thought that you think, it's in every neuron you have in your nervous system. Spirit is the truth of you. Spirit is the truth of us always. We are always one with that energy. And so why not rely on it? Why not depend on it? In the textbook, Ernest Holmes said this. He said, we should be careful to distinguish daydreaming and wishful thinking from real dynamic and creative prayer. When we do affirmative prayer, we do not wish, we know. We do not dream, we state. We do not hope, we accept. And he even said, we do not pray, actually, we announce. We announce. We do not expect something is going to happen. We believe it already has. That is the power of affirmative prayer. That is what Joe said that they're doing with the children right now. God is all there is. I am one. You know, I say, I am one as that instead of with that, because with just, I don't know, seems like it's separation to me. I am one as that. I know and accept. I give thanks. I release it. Why? Because it's done. Because in the mind of God, it's done. You may not see it here at the physical world right now, but it's on its way. It's coming. It's done. It's done. When we give direction to the law and we are convinced and we know, we're not hoping, we're knowing, we're accepting, it's done, it's done. Affirmative prayer, when properly understood, is the pronouncement of what is. It is the commitment to knowing the truth, and it is a statement that we are in alignment with the power and presence that created us that must outpicture according to the word. It must. It must. It created us. It created everything in this manifest universe according to the love that Ernest Holmes said points the way, and the law that makes the way possible. So this week, I invite you to get still, to spend some time, as much or as little as you can, in the morning and the evening. Just get still. Just sit on your cushion waiting for nothing to happen. Just allow yourself that quiet space and listen for the still small voice. And when you hear it, for God's sakes, don't hang up. Thank you so much.